Only then did it seem to return to the ground, finally reacting. The little mouse gave her too much shock today, she shouted excitedly looking at the mouse. You learned an advanced skill again. After hearing its owner's scream, a second ago a lightning rat was still in an explosive state. A second later, it immediately restored its original lovely appearance. Tu Yen Din was unexpectedly excited, holding the lightning and trying to say, "It's too fake." The referee next to him and the wind god bird looked at this one side and were stunned for a moment. The referee was stunned for a few seconds, trying to figure out if he didn't lose control. At that moment, the host shouted loudly, "The winner of this match is Tu Yen Din. Congratulations to her advancing to the next match." Su Bin was in the pet shop watching a lecture for the star pet master. Using his own energy to inject into the pet's body, removing the meridians in its front legs, could strengthen its front legs. Tu Bin watched the video and felt bored and yawned. Is this called awesomeness? No wonder Tu Yen Din saw the change in lightning and became so surprised. Suddenly there was a loud noise outside the mischievous pet store, and a supercar stopped in front of the store. Pham Nok Kin got down from the car and greeted Tu Bin, "Boss, long time no see." He didn't pay any attention and picked up the pet food in the store. There were quite a few new products. Tu Bin looked at his arm and slowly said, "It's you, is your arm okay?" Pham Nok Kin was excited and arrogant. As long as he paid enough money to the city hospital, even his broken bones could be reattached. Tu Bin asked back, "Does that mean you have a lot of money? Please consider coming to my shop. These undead pets can be discounted for you." Pham Nok Kin looked at the price of the food, suddenly gasped on the spot and couldn't help but exclaim, "This price is 100 times more expensive than before. A grain of food is as expensive as his surgery fee." When Su Bin heard that he couldn't do business, he immediately lost interest. "If there's nothing wrong, then go away, I still have to practice." Pham Nok Kin quickly bowed his head and scratched the back of his neck and said, "What I said just now was too formal. Compared to my strength, I'm clearly not as good as you. I'm not hiding anything from you. This time I came to invite you to leave the mountain, no. Do you know if you are interested in Kai Hon? In the past, Lam Tin used to be a planet lacking resources, until one day, a powerful force tore apart space, creating cracks between stars, unstable cracks like connecting bridges. Planets unknown to each other, some planets rich in resources, some planets containing nothing but fierce beasts. Based on the rift in the sky, humans can reach other planets, gain resources and become powerful. The prosperity only lasted a few hundred years. In order to compete for the rift leading to high-quality stars, humanity fell into civil war continuously for many years, and the number of humans was reduced by half. Nearly 70% of Lam Tin's land area became wasteland no longer suitable for living. The remaining survivors finally reached a consensus to establish a human alliance. In order to survive, the human alliance now moves to a stable area where cracks do not often appear. To survive, they try their best to train battle pets and choose the best warriors to be the pioneers. Outside of Kai Hoang, go to the cracks in the sky to look for treasure. Tu Bin couldn't help but fall into thought. Going to Kai Hoang, it seems interesting. Feng Nok Sutra explains that in the wilderness outside Longjiang City, a crack in the sky has just appeared. Our Black Wolf team was the first expedition team but unfortunately was attacked and lost a snowfox-tailed beast. He just finished speaking. With a ding sound, the system displayed congratulations to the host. The side quest is to find a lost pet, and the reward for success is a book of secrets to practice magical skills. Tu Bin secretly thought in his heart, the last time the system for creating chaos stars really had a great effect in improving strength. This secret recipe must be equally valuable. Just in time I also want to check it out. Real capacity. Outside the Longjiang base, combat vehicles were flying on the road. A moment later, Pham Nok Kin and Tu Bin slowly got out of the vehicle. Pham Nok Kin shouted loudly, "Our captain is here, the leader of the black team. Lan Fan Quang Liat," and the blonde man next to Deputy Captain Li Ung. Fan Quang Liat enthusiastically asked Pham Nok Kin, "This is the noble person you mentioned, what is your noble name?" The male lead said with a calm face, my name is Bin. There's nothing strange about Bin normally. Seeing that Bin was so young, Li Ung was also interested. We often hear the kid Nok Kin mention you. You are truly a hero, probably around 20 years old. Bin was stunned. Do I look so old? I'm 18 this year. The three members of the Black Land team immediately turned to stone on the spot, their hearts being bombarded with 10,000 points. Lin seriously said that to join the battle team, you must register your identity first. The interstellar rift is very dangerous. I hope you can tell us about your pet. Bin said with a confident expression that it was no problem. I don't want to join the Vanguard team. I'm just here to find the red fox and the tailed beast. As soon as he finished speaking, a dark red space crack opened next to him. From inside, a small bone jumped out, carrying a knife and landing on the ground. Appeared extremely cool, looked like the main character but only for 3 seconds, accidentally landed and his head fell to the ground. The three members of the Black Wolf team were speechless. Bin walked over and picked up the little bone's head, taking out the ruby he had stolen the other day. The head is still big, but that's probably enough for reclamation. Fan Quang Liat and Li Ung standing next to each other are covered in blue veins. Is this person here to compete for the position of Clown Lord? Pham Nok Kin saw that the situation was not good and quickly asked in a low voice, Boss, do you only have one pet? Bin neither quickly nor slowly recovered the blood gemstone and replied, That's right. There's a lot of it right now. Pham Nok Kin was suddenly so scared that he stammered, You probably don't know that our captain and vice captain are as hot as ice cream. If I make this mistake, I will die. After finishing assembling the little bone's head, Bin smiled, Don't worry, I won't disappoint you if I accept the assignment. Bin shouted loudly. The little bone pulled out the knife. Several rings of peach energy suddenly rose on the ground, and at the moment of using the small bone to draw the knife, he appeared in that circle of knife air, showing a very handsome pose. Slowly collected peaches and ended the performance again. Everyone in the Black Wolf team was startled when they saw this. The speed was so fast that they could only see the movement of the sword. After the little Medlu finished retracting the knife, there was a loud explosion in all 4 directions, and the ground where the blade passed by suddenly shattered. Pham Nok Kin couldn't help but shout loudly, This is beyond imagination. After being recognized, Bin immediately went to the base to verify his identity. Information about going to high school, not having the bloodline of battle pets, now becoming a temporary pioneer, authorized to reclaim land. Fan Quang Liat led the crowd to the federal warehouse, only to see the heavy door slowly open. All 4 directions began to fill with smoke. From behind the gate, Bin was suddenly frightened, unable to believe the scene before his eyes. What catches the eye are all kinds of strange shapes, armor and weapons. The samples here are all sealed in a green jar. Fan Quang Liat slowly opened his mouth and said to Winda, The reclamation area is especially dangerous. Don't be rude. Choose anything to protect yourself. I invite you to use it. Bin thought in his head, These are good products that cannot be seen on the market. This team is very rich. Time passed by second by minute. Fan Quang Liat reminded me that time is limited. There probably isn't much left. Has Winda finished choosing? Bin pointed to the tattered item next to me. I would take this. But everyone saw that Bin chose only the basic level 1 technique of a level 1 battle pet master. So Li Ung couldn't help but go directly. Send haha. Pham Nok Kin, what kind of person are you inviting? Fan Quang Liat tried to restrain himself but couldn't help but let out a crazy sound. Pham Nok Kin looked worried and shouted, We are going to the wasteland. The captain wants you to bring some weapons and armor. Why did you choose the technique to practice? Bin seemed to think carefully. Before I succeed, I don't want to owe too many people. Fan Quang Liat calmly analyzed at this time. The exercises are used for long-term cultivation. This person either has no brain or is extremely knowledgeable about his own strength. Hopefully it is the latter. Next was moving to the dressing room. Bin looked at the clothes in his hand and wondered. Pham Nok Kin just finished wearing the equipment and smiled. This is a gift from the captain. It can resist the attacks of the majority. Level 5-star pet. If you fail again this time, you will lose a lot of face. Bin listened but expressed his understanding. After all, it was his first time in actual combat. A little caution wouldn't hurt. In just a moment, the two of them set off towards the crack in the sky. Tabin asked if he was coming back. How many cracks do you know? Pham Nok Kin thought for a moment and then answered, the expected danger level is B. Inside there are often ferocious beasts of the demon type, and for the time being, rare crows have not been found. In Tabin's heart, he was thinking, why is it so bad? Then he came to the right place. He continued to ask. He said that at that time, the two of them were seriously injured, so who would make up for the remaining gap? While Pham Nok Kin urged the pet to run away, he replied that the other person was found by the second Wang family. I heard that he is a cruel character, don't ever mess with him. Suddenly, a large bird's leg appeared in the air blocking the way of Tabin and his group. The pet he was riding panicked and lost its balance, and Tabin did not have time to fall as well. I only saw a person appear in front of me, with a few small scars on his cheek, and the star pet next to him was admiring the pet that had just fallen. That was Lam Mak Kong, the founder of Hoang Nan Huan. At this time, Tabin helped Pham Nok Kin down, but Pham Nok Kin was still exaggerating loudly. Luckily I was very strong. If I fell, even if I was a level 6 strongman, my flesh would be crushed and melted. Meanwhile, Lam Mak Kong was enthusiastically chatting with Fan Kwong about the loss of the fox-tailed beast. Lam Mak Kong pretended to be smart and could help him find his star pet for a minute. Immediately his eyes fell on Tabin next to him. Who is this? Why is there no information about him? Fan Kwong Liat immediately introduced that this was the help of the criminal invited to his brother Tabin. Lam Mak Kong glanced at Tabin and said it was his first time coming to Hoangkou, but Tabin directly questioned him, hoping he could explain what had just happened. Lam Mak Kong's face darkened and he opened his mouth to say that the sword has no eyes. If he couldn't deal with this, why would he want to go to the reclamation area? Fan Kwong Liat saw that Lam Mak Kong was unhappy and quickly explained the urgent situation. Although Brother Tu was not a pioneer, his strength still passed the test. Lam Mak Kong took a look at him. The cold look in his eyes was very clear. Was it okay for his strength to pass the test? Then anyone could be a pioneer. After you get inside, listen to my instructions. If not, don't blame me for being heartless. You can rest assured, Fan Kwong Liat quickly assured. After all, the person he brought will naturally be taken care of well. While Tabin followed with a gloomy expression. In his heart, Lam Mak Kong couldn't help but whisper, what's wrong with this guy? This look is as cold as looking at a corpse. Is this really the first person to enter the wilderness? In just a moment, Lam Mak Kong did not turn back, directly entered the vortex of broken stars in front. His body disappeared. Fan Kwong Liat and Li Ung followed closely behind. Pham Nok Kin looked a little embarrassed as he explained to Tabin. The pioneers all have such straightforward personalities, don't take it to heart. Tabin nodded to show understanding. He certainly won't mind, because I also think the same as him. In just a moment, everyone has entered the cracked starry sky. Looking up in the sky, there is a star very close to the sky here. This planet clearly has a different size. The surroundings are also darker even though it is also night. At this time, Li Ung called out the previous spy bird to let it fly invisible into the night sky ahead. A moment later, Li Ung suddenly said that there was an unidentified star pet ahead. The fog was so thick that it could not be detected. Realized, it was impossible to take a detour due to the presence of ferocious beasts. Lam Mak Kong at this time summoned his pet, which was a level 7 pet. He suggested coming closer to observe. If it was a high-level star pet, he would retreat. Soon everyone approached. Fan Kwong Liat took out an object like night vision goggles from his backpack, glanced at it, and suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a level 5 tiger scale cloth. Lam Mak Kong immediately decided to kill it. Fan Kwong Liat nodded and wanted to take action. Tabin frowned slightly, suddenly felt something was wrong. Spoke up to stop them from taking action. He quickly said, wait a minute, are you sure you didn't see wrong? Lam Mak did not frown, looked at Tabin and said, are you doubting our judgment? He had no sympathy for this newcomer without any experience in land reclamation, and Tabin's eyes showed no sign of hesitation. Calmly analyzing, in this cold winter, the tiger rarely goes out to work and rarely drinks water, mainly relying on eating small insects to replenish water, and in case of extreme thirst, eats plants to fill with water. Pham Kin Nok also confirmed that it is a tropical star pet, appearing here as a bit strange. He asked in a low voice if he was mistaken. On the side, Li Ung looked doubtfully and looked again, but the pet in front of him was indeed a tiger-scaled cloth. Lam Mak Kong did not bring any tools, just looked at it with his eyes and immediately confirmed that it was indeed a tiger-scaled cloth. Having finished speaking, he ordered Chan Sam Koada to kill that animal and immediately aimed at it and bit it. Suddenly, the outer layer of the tiger's skin burned and sizzled, revealing the white skeleton inside. This was another pet disguised as a tiger's skin. Koada, without any instructions to retreat, opened his mouth and crouched into his body. That disguised pet. Tabin warned Lam Mak Kong. He did not want his pet to die, told him to let go of the prey and immediately return here. On the contrary, he spoke loudly, not thinking that Tabin would dare to teach him. The murderous intent in his eyes burst out on the spot. Who are you to dare to give me orders? I saw his pet suddenly rolling on the ground, seemingly in great pain, and at the same time emitting the dark energy characteristic of ghosts. Tabin saw this and immediately told Fan Quang Liat to quickly leave this place. There is no other way. Adult soul beasts with level 7 combat power often disguise themselves as weak prey to lure other prey, if they are caught. Such a bite will dissolve from the inside. Fan Quang Liat said that if it's a level 7 pet, we should attack together and we can still kill it. Tabin's face was ugly, and he quickly said that the scariest thing about a spirit beast's soul is its symbiosis, the blood spirit beast. Hearing Tabin say the name of an unfamiliar pet, everyone was startled and asked what this was about. The place where the soul beast appeared, if I guessed correctly, that lake was not water but blood. There was a blood soul beast in it. Having a level 7 soul beast that transports nutrients, this blood soul beast is at least level 9. Seeing the painful and struggling appearance of the blanket in the distance, several people trembled in fear. This was definitely an extremely dangerous thing. Su Bin only took one look and realized that this was indeed a blood soul beast. He suddenly turned around and ran away without saying a word. As for Fan Quang Liat, Li Ung, and Pham Nok Kin, the three of them saw Tabin leading the way and instinctively followed. All of them were scared. They summoned a bloodthirsty wolf and a dragon with snake wings. Fan Quang Liat ran and told Li Ung behind to see other routes. Li Ung immediately sensed his pet scout. He quickly said that there were some unknown ferocious beasts on the east road, and the west was temporarily safe. Lam Mak Kong suddenly shouted and retreated to the west. I had lost a pet. If I accidentally walked into a dangerous place, wouldn't I be looking for my own death? At this time, Fan Quang Liat turned around and asked brother to which direction he thought he should go. Tabin still did not forget to look for the blood lake. He smiled and said my advice was to go straight east. Lam Mak Kong ran away screaming in panic. Are you crazy? Just being a blood soul beast isn't enough. That Li Ung next to him also seemed to agree. Fan Quang Liat looked at Tabin and asked again, are you serious? Tabin immediately opened his mouth and said seriously, if you still want to get the fox blood back, believe me, time is very urgent. Then Fan Quang Liat ordered everyone to go east, into the canyon. The star pet under his body quickly changed direction, going deeper and deeper inside, while the blood soul beast behind was still chasing. Unwilling to let go of its prey, Li Ung was surveying the surrounding environment when suddenly his expression changed and he cried out, Captain, the animals in the canyon have actively avoided us. Fan Quang Lai gritted his teeth and said that he recognized the blood soul beast behind us, so should we avoid it? After everyone entered the ravine, the blood soul beast behind them slowed down, and its desire to chase seemed to have decreased. Lam Mak Kong was extremely surprised and asked, how could this be? Tabin replied calmly, although the blood soul beast has very strong fighting power, it is not good at hunting. It prefers to use the soul beast to lead its prey to the door, not to mention this canyon is too narrow. We are not the best of the best. Only a fool would leave free food outside the door and deliberately seek out a narrow place. Fan Quang Liat next to him turned his head to look at Lam Mak Kong, thinking in his heart, if I have such a deep understanding, I can't retreat. But Lam Mak Kong couldn't help but loudly say, why are you looking at me? I don't know the characteristics of blood soul beasts. Suddenly Li Ung on the side reported to the captain, we are almost to the place where the blood fox disappeared, but there is a monster blocking the exit to the canyon. Tabin immediately told Lam Mak not to give him the night vision glasses. Lam Mak Kong's face was extremely gloomy. Although he was very upset in his heart, he still took down the night vision glasses and threw it to Tabin. Tabin quickly reached out and grabbed it, smiling and thanking him. Tabin wore night vision goggles and glanced from afar. What he saw was a normal level 5 pet beast. Trak Quang Liat breathed a sigh of relief and looked in Tabin's direction, asking if the thing in front of him was not a problem. Tabin's answer was a word of maturity that could only be level 5, don't worry, I've already taken action, take action. As he spoke, without hesitation, he immediately summoned his little bone marrow. Despite its small size, following Tabin's command, he immediately pulled out his frost knife and quickly launched it towards that level 5 pet beast. After getting closer, the small bone jumped up, and the wind and black blade energy suddenly swept out. The blade's aura passed through its body and became disturbing, then turned into 2 segments that slowly dissipated into dark energy. Fan Quang Liat and the others were shocked. Even though they had seen the power of this small marrow before, it still shocked them compared to the neat move in front of them. Lam Mak Kong angrily thought to himself that he was proud. It was just a dog biting a fly. I can do this kind of mongrel. In just a moment, out of the canyon, a majestic giant mountain reaching up to the horizon appeared before everyone's eyes. Seeing this giant mountain, everyone's eyes showed some seriousness. The blood lake was lost right in front of this mountain. This place is very dangerous. Last time they encountered a ferocious beast here, a high-level star pet, so the blood lake was lost. Tabin nodded slightly and said he was sure of the time. Everyone came down here and split up to look for clues. Everyone quickly started summoning their scout pets, and they were all separated to search a large area. Fan Quang Liat summoned Da Nhi Hao. Suddenly it shouted loudly to attract attention. Everyone heard the sound and quickly came forward to investigate. Seeing Dor Hao use his tail to hold out an amputated arm, the arm was also covered at the wrist with black metal. Lam Mak Kong looked at this thing and his face suddenly became a bit ugly. This was the Black Cloud Kim's wrist guard. To be able to buy such a good necklace was at least the captain. Li Ung and Pham Ngoc Kin's faces changed. Analyzing the powerful level 6 battle pet master they had just purchased, they were tragically killed here. It could be seen that they were in extremely terrible danger. There was not even a chance to escape. At this time, Tabin saw the broken arm move in his heart, opened his mouth to tell him, Lam Mak's dissatisfaction has not started to flare up. Are you familiar with the tools? I think it's time to stop. But Tabin did not care at all and continued to demand. The two sides instantly began to attack. Lin Mak Kong growled, it's fun to command twice, don't drag me into it. Trying to give me orders. I'm a pioneer. Even if I accidentally kill an unknown battle pet master, I'll only be punished. Just a little punishment. Suddenly the air began to be filled with the strong smell of gunpowder. Lam Mak Kong let go. His amputated arm immediately fell to the ground. He said with a gloomy expression. His hand slipped and he picked it up himself. Tabin's eyes flashed dangerously. He didn't want to fight with this guy here, so he patiently bent down to pick up that item. The crowd looked at these two people holding each other and looked confused, while Tabin bent down and picked up his amputated arm. He looked closely at the broken spot, his pupils slightly constricted, and in his heart he silently analyzed the dried blood stains, but the wound still retained a strong hint of darkness. Recently, is there a high-level demon type? Fan Quang Liat asked Brother Tu. His face was a bit ugly. Did he find anything related to the blood lake? He also valued Tabin's opinion. Tabin realized that they were not in danger. In his heart, Tabin secretly thought that if the owner of this arm had died a few days ago, the marriage would have probably left a long time ago. He replied with his usual expression without noticing, but Lam Mak Kong next to him suddenly smiled happily. It was really pretending to be good. I thought I had some insight. Bin glanced at him, then suddenly raised his hand towards him and was hit straight in the face with a merciless heavy punch. Lam Mak Kong was no longer laughing. Pham Nok Kin and Lee Ung, three people seemed to have been hit in the head and had not yet reacted, standing still in the same place in disbelief. But Lam Mak Kong felt the burning pain on his face. After being frozen for a second, he immediately regained his composure, his eyes turned fiery, and loudly called out, "Boy, I will kill you." Dared to hit the old man in the face. He quickly pulled out the knife from his waist and wanted to send Bin back to his grandparents with a punch. Before the sword could touch his skin, the small bone knife was already aiming the bone knife in his hand right at the enemy's throat. Suddenly Lee Ung on the side also pulled out his knife towards Bin and ordered your pet to retreat, but Bin indifferently said, "Why don't you let him put down the knife first?" Pham Nok Kin was also terrified. Afraid that they would actually fight, he quickly advised Boss to say something slowly, "Why did you start fighting like that?" Bin naturally said that he came to bother me 5 or 7 times. Meanwhile, Tu Kot Kot's eyes flashed with red light. In the blink of an eye, it burst out with intense murderous aura. As long as Bin gave an order, it would attack at any time. Lee Ung felt this intense killing intent in his heart and was terrified. Wonder if he has the confidence to kill us on the spot? Lam Mak Kong was so angry that his veins were about to explode. He shouted loudly, "Lying, don't think I don't dare to touch you." At this time, Fan Quang Liat stopped in front of them and miserably advised, "This is Brother Tu's mistake. I will admit my mistake on his behalf. Complete the task first, then I will compensate you for your mistake." Loss of Koata ginseng blanket. Pham Nok Kin also quickly opened his mouth and said, "In the wilderness, fighting between hands and feet is the ultimate fate. In the end none of us can return. Bin doesn't think this is right. I think those who don't listen to the commander will only cause more trouble. One more person is not as good as one less person." Having touched Lam Mak Kong's neck, if he went a little further, Lam Mak Kong would lose his head. Suddenly the battle knife in his hand loosened, but he still gritted, Bin, "I remember you well, for now. I will listen to your orders, Commander. When I return to base I will let you know what the festival is." Bin did not pay attention to this meaningless display of authority. He faintly suggested the next action to Lee Ung. "I will command. What do you think, Vice Captain?" Lee Ung expressed that he only listened to the captain's orders. In his heart, he wanted to see if he knew that even though he wanted to attack himself, he could not retreat with his whole body. He saw through us, in such a situation. So can we only take the big picture as the main thing? When Fan Quang Liat saw it, he couldn't help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief. He went to advise Bin not to be impulsive anymore, "Otherwise I won't help you anymore." Suddenly he whispered into Bin's ear, "I can see how good you are. Just rest assured and do it, but be careful of that kid Lam Mak Kong. I don't think he will just let it go. Maybe he will playing dirty." Lam Mak Kong was so angry that his blood vessels were about to explode, his eyes filled with violence. Bin listened to the captain and nodded in agreement. Suddenly, in front of him, a signal of colored smoke flew straight into the air. Fan Quang Liat saw this and immediately changed his expression and immediately set out to see the situation. Nearby, I saw 2 figures supporting each other, a man and a woman, both with serious wounds on their bodies. It was clear that they had fought fiercely. In front of them were 2 pet beasts fighting to protect them. The enemy is a giant beast 10 meters high, like a pile of flesh stuck together. Suddenly, the monster opened its mouth and let out a series of strange, shrill screams, and in the blink of an eye, the man and woman were shocked by the sound waves. Just when they were distracted, the giant bone marrow beast suddenly shot several sharp spears towards them. Bone marrow quickly flew in the air carrying a wind knife to save the guy who was shaken and couldn't move. "Okay, cut those spears into pieces." The seriously injured man looked at the bones in front of him in surprise. His body was completely unable to move. Suddenly there was a sound nearby. Fan Quang Liat shouted, "We are the Black Wolf team. I just saw your help signal." The man quickly reminded us to be careful. It was a demon beast that attacked us. Fan Quang Liat turned his head to look at his pupils suddenly shrinking, It was him. He was the one who attacked us last time, an adult level 8 demon beast. Fan Kuang-liat's face was a bit ugly. In his heart there was even a trace of regret in personally facing a level 8 ferocious beast. Running away was the best policy. Everyone quickly dragged the two people to the ground, and at this moment the demonic beast chased closely behind. Lam Mak Kong suddenly took action and secretly hit Tabin. Tabin and the girl fell to the ground at the same time, just right at the foot of the demon beast. Looking at the giant foot of the demon marrow beast, Khan couldn't help but freeze for 5 seconds. Luckily, Li Ung and Pham Nok Kin successfully rescued him and avoided this stomp in time. Tabin, who had just escaped from the dangerous situation, told the deputy captain to find a flat road. Terrain obstacles do not affect the demon marrow beast, it only slows us down. While Li Ung agreed with his mouth, in his heart he secretly thought, this little guy was almost killed, but he wasn't the least bit flustered. Fan Kuang-liat regained his spirit. On the way, we encountered many limbs and corpses of star pets. There were only 2 people left in the team. The man gritted his teeth and answered yes. The last Earth Shield beast in my hand was already gone. The indomitable woman in her eyes shouted loudly that my holy flame could still fight again. Fan Kuang-liat was sweating profusely next to him. Tabin saw the doubt in Fan Kuang-liat's eyes. This person had finally told the truth. The fighting power of this ghostly beast was feared to be about to reach level 9. In Tabin's heart at this moment, he was analyzing the weak points of the demon marrow beast that was covered by sturdy mists. Just relying on the small marrow bones was absolutely impossible to break the defense. They still needed their help. Go through this gate first and then find Lam Mak Kong to settle the score. The man who had just been rescued took a deep breath, looked seriously at the people and shouted, I have a suggestion. Or let your pets stay behind and risk their lives with this thing. Otherwise all of them will die. We can't escape. Lam Mak Kong immediately got angry when he heard that. I just lost one bird. Are you asking me to continue offering another one? Seeing the suddenly changed expressions of Lam Mak Kong's group, the man quickly said that after leaving this place, I Deep Tran Sun will fully compensate you for what you lost in the bonus. What Deep Tran Sun? I said I will not go back on my word. When Fan Kuang-liat heard this name, he was immediately startled. You are Deep Sun, a famous person on the gold medal list in the rankings. Lam Mak Kong turned around and said that the old man spent so much effort cultivating the pet, saying, if you buy it, why buy it? But Deep Tran Sun calmly said that I offered 3 times the price. Lam Mak Kong directly changed his face and shouted loudly at Li Ung, asking the people on the other side to call the beast to stop the demon beast's path. Otherwise we will all have to die here. Li Ung silently said that everyone heard it. For the sake of everyone's life, please contribute a part. Without hesitation, he opened his hand to summon space. Tabin did not respond after hearing it. His expression darkened. Counter policy. Suddenly he let out a breath. His whole body jumped down from the flying dragon, and instantly landed firmly on the ground, directly summoning a small bone. And the beast's butt was close behind, causing the whole ground to continuously make a rumbling sound. Looking at the monster opposite, getting closer and closer, there was not the slightest bit of fear. Faced with a demonic beast with a strength close to level 9, Tabin chose to stay and hold back. Lam Face Kong felt very proud. If you want to be a hero, then die alone. I won't let anyone stop me. For you again. Suddenly everyone changed color, and giant skeletons appeared everywhere, blocking their retreat. When they were about to order the beast to break through the siege, suddenly the skeleton army stopped, simultaneously circled around them, and rushed towards the demon marrow beast in front. This man suddenly stunned several people in an instant. Stupid. Fan Kuang-liat said to himself, isn't he coming to attack us? The small bone's entire body radiated dark red energy, summoning the magic array condensing under its feet. All 4 sides were covered with summoned undead soldiers. Suddenly Tabin opened his mouth and said, Captain, your pet has been with you for so long, isn't it scary to abandon him like that? Tabin directly activated the killing intent skill. The undead army was strengthened, following the orders of the little bone, attacking everywhere around the monster. Many legions of dead bones are constantly attacking it. The first one falls, the next advances. At the same time, the little skull hides its own breath, hiding next to the bones and entering the battlefield. After approaching the monster, the little skeleton suddenly attacked. The dark red blade energy was like a large wave sweeping across and hitting the monster's upper bones. Seeing the demon marrow beast being suppressed, Deep Tran Sun and Fan Quang Liat and others all looked stunned, unable to believe that the image before their eyes was real. This level 8 to 9 bone marrow beast was stopped by that little skull alone. Fan Quang Liat regained his composure and quickly shouted, "Brother two, I'm here to help." Li couldn't help but turn around and say, "Captain, we're all up, let's go. If we don't follow orders, we'll become army soldiers. If we can temporarily kill this demonic beast, our merit will be enough to exchange for a few pets." Although Lam Mak Kong was very angry at this time, it was in vain. In the blink of an eye, everyone summoned their star pets. In order are the bloodthirsty demon wolf, the mountain beast, the fiery snake and the spear dragon, the holy flame and the green-purple demon. These high-level star pets from level 7 to level 8 cooperated with the undead army and began to continuously attack. 6 little devils approached the demon beast, 6 arms raised high at the same time to launch the first skill. The long spear pierced the air, carrying waves of air currents, directly breaking the skull of the demon beast. At the same time, the holy flame bird and the snake pterodactyl were in the air using ultraviolet rays and ice mist at the same time, and were attacked by these two energies, instantly casting them at their target. The Han mountain beast on the ground also used heavy blows of destruction, a fierce punch hitting the demon beast's stomach. The demon marrow beast had been bombarded repeatedly, and many small cracks began to appear on its body, just as the bloodthirsty demon wolf was about to take advantage of the river. At the moment the bloodthirsty demon wolf was about to rush forward, the demon marrow beast's chest suddenly expanded with terrifying purple energy condensation. Deep Tran Sun on the side saw this and directly used the star shield. The woman shouted to quickly dodge. Everyone quickly gathered their energy to open the shield. Suddenly a roar of rage spread out. The purple light on the demon marrow beast's body erupted, shocking many star pets that were not protected by the barrier, falling to the ground and unable to get up. The demon marrow beast coldly looked forward and started to restart its skills. Its broken body immediately returned to its original state. The siege just now was not enough to scratch its itch. It really wanted to fight. Winning is still a myth. The demon marrow beast had no intention of stopping its attack. Instead, several bone spears were stretched out from its body, and several long pieces of hard mist suddenly shot out. The target was clearly the group of star pets lying on the ground, the bloodthirsty demon wolf and the pterodactyl dragon. Seeing this, everyone was extremely worried because the distance was too far, and it was impossible to summon space to bring the star pet back in. Tabin then ordered Tiuko to use intermediate swordsmanship to solve the problem. Fan Quang Liat quickly turned back and shouted in surprise. This was a level 8 a mental shock. How could the little skull not be affected? Tabin smiled and replied, being tough is definitely unbearable, but what about many coercive corpses fighting together? Fan Quang Liat analyzed in surprise. The moment of releasing the corpse will indeed create a small-scale explosion, but will that reduce the mental shock? This method has never been heard before. The moment of release must be simultaneous. Otherwise, after practicing hundreds of times, you will not be able to grasp that moment. What exactly has this person been through? At this moment, the demonic beast's attack continued, its eyes flashed, and a thick black aura suddenly appeared on its body, turning into a dense vortex of darkness that was released. When Fan Quang Liat and Lam Mak Kong's group saw this scene, they were also scared that their faces were bleeding. This is the secret skill of the undead system. Only level 9 demon beasts can comprehend the drift of death and destruction. This monster beast's understanding cannot help but be too strong. The dark energy frantically condensed, and the giant energy ball began to form. Faced with this terrifying skill, Lam Mak Kong was so scared that his scalp went numb, so he turned around and ran away first. And Tabin knows that death's influence range is 1 kilometer, so running away is useless at this time. He immediately shouted that the little bone was now. The small bone next to it had begun to gather strength. It was covered in fog and emitted a low roar. In the mist, there was a flowing blood color. That was the blood energy that belonged to the little king's sister. The black vortex was still gathering force as the little bone had thrown the knife energy closer to the front. I only saw a beam of darkness directly hit the weak spot that opened up the demon marrow beast's chest. The demon marrow beast didn't have time to take precautions and was knocked down, and that dark ball also gradually dissipated. The demon marrow beast was hit at its weak point and finally began to fall, accidentally emitting an earth-shattering cry full of pain, and its huge body also exploded. With just one blow, the demon marrow beast with a strength approaching level 9 was instantly killed, and the monster lost its core, instantly turning into a pile of marrow. The system displays the message that the little skull has completed the battle, and intermediate swordsmanship has been upgraded to advanced. Everyone couldn't believe it when they saw it themselves. They were all shocked. The demon beast, approaching level 9, was killed by a small skeleton just like that. Boss 2, how do you know to break it from the inside? Tabin answered lightly, coincidentally having encountered a similar situation. In his heart, he understood why only demon-type pets could learn how to reconstruct broken limbs. There is only one answer: their physical body is just the tip. The spirit stone is the root of the demonic pet beast. As long as the core is not destroyed, the demon-type pet can activate the ability to reorganize, so make use of it instead. Any demon pet beast is a paper tiger. Tabin's thoughts suddenly stirred. This match had proven his guess. I saw the demon marrow beast's body suddenly move, and the rich energy gradually connected the mist bone demon marrow beast with each other. Very quickly, under the little skull's control, the demon marrow beast's body slowly stood up, causing Fan Quang Liat and others' pupils to shrink. Damn, this thing isn't dead yet, but the movements seem a bit strange. Pham Nok Kin couldn't help but be curious and asked Boss 2, are you controlling it? Tabin nodded in acknowledgement. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. This little skull can do anything. Is it really magical? I have never seen it before, not only comprehending advanced undead summoning, but also killing and turning enemies into puppets. This ability can't help but be too strange. A moment later, everyone began to open the summoning space to retrieve the injured star pet. At this time, Fan Quang Liat said not to delay, to continue searching for the blood lake. Suddenly, Tabin opened his mouth and said slowly, I still have one thing to do. I hope you guys know which eyes to close and which eyes to open. Fan Quang Liat looked at the little bone who had pulled out the bone knife. It was not good. He quickly advised Brother to show respect to me. But he was silent on the side and quickly opened the star shield, tightly grasping the knife at his waist, his mouth closed. Then scream what you want to do. Tabin laughed. He didn't do anything. I just wanted to remind you to be careful. After all, there is danger. You need to be careful when clearing land. As soon as he finished speaking, Tiu Kot suddenly used the advanced knife technique he had just realized, easily breaking the star shield with one knife and taking one of his arms. In an instant, his body turned to pain, causing his face to contort, causing screams to erupt from his wound, and ketchup continuously squirted out from his wound. And Tabin is like a god of death, and Lam Mak Kong said, I have respected the captain and spared your life. Now go away. Never let me see you again. And if you want to disappear, I will be happy to help. Older brother. Lam Mak Kong felt scared and his whole body trembled non-stop. He quickly hugged his amputated arm and turned around to run away. Fan Quang Liat's mind was troubled and he couldn't help but let out a long breath. Pham Nok shouted in shock, Boss 2, what are you doing? This is too much. The woman secretly thought that the other person had an unjust mind, and that it was the right decision to simply send him away, otherwise we would die soon. Li Ung suddenly said to the two deep trans sun people next to him, have you ever seen any interesting blood fox here? He replied, blood fox, not impressed, but the woman next to me thought for a moment. It seemed I saw its footprints. Tabin's eyes sparkled. Really, where? Everyone sat on the beast's body and walked quickly through the valley. Under the guidance of the woman, they arrived at a nearby cliff in just a moment. There was something in the cave that attracted the little skull. Before Tabin could react, he jumped down from the demon marrow beast. He quickly opened his mouth to the girl. Let me borrow her signal gun. The girl quickly threw the gun out. Tabin took it and immediately used it. The rays of light fell straight down, illuminating the cliffs with light. Everywhere were extremely hard rocks. A few dozen meters away, Tabin saw the bright red fur, which was the fur of the blood fox flame-tailed beast. And now it was lying on the ground recovering from injuries. Having found the target, everyone hastily slid down the mountainside. Fan Quang Liat couldn't help but show a smile and said, "Finally found him. He really made it easy for me to find." Although he suffered heavy losses this time, he finally found the blood fox. Fan Quang Liat recalled the blood lake to the summoning space, turned around and said that if the mission was completed, we would prepare to return. Tabin suddenly waved his hand to stop him. He looked at the ore in front of him and said there seemed to be something hidden here. Pham Ngoc Kin hastily took out a small tool from his backpack and put it on, then scanned and measured this ore. Many elements appear as listed. Unknown element content 91%, uranium 0.002%. Pham Ngoc Kin saw the scan information on the tool with some hesitation, unable to find suitable results among the known factors. This was an ore he had never seen before. The captain and vice captain didn't care much about the results and turned around to leave, but Tabin was curious and didn't ask why they didn't react at all. Pham Ngoc Kin chuckled, often encountering similar unknown metal materials. If we can find rare ores that can be used by mining, we will definitely be rich. This crack connects to all star fields in the universe, so the probability of finding valuable ore is close to zero. Mining time is very precious. After returning, just report a little. The federal government will send someone else to collect samples. Tabin successfully found the blood lake and also found many unknown ores around. Looking at the little bone's happy appearance, I secretly thought that this kid likes these ores so much, they must not be normal goods. Before they went to the government, wasn't he the only one who could enjoy them? Suddenly the system emits a signal. Completing the mission will receive the reward Kim O, the demonic body. That girl came to him and sincerely said that this is my business card. If you are interested, I really want you to come to our academy. With your strength and fighting vision, I would like to introduce you to the principal. Su Bin accepted the small card she gave him. Apparently he was a senior instructor at Phuong Sun Lak Kok Tuyat Academy. He had a tearful expression of gratitude on his lips, but in his heart he was secretly sarcastic. Could he still not escape the fate of having to go to school? At this moment, Tabin's mind was still on the mission reward. He quickly turned around and waved goodbye. I have something to do. Talk to you later. Lak Kok Tuyat looked at Tabin's leaving back and couldn't help but scratch his head and exhale. I should have definitely invited him to be my guide. The next morning, Tabin yawned on the way home. He was about to sneak into the house and pretend to sleep. When he opened it, he saw his sister standing in front of the door. Tu Lang Wei crossed her arms, making Tabin feel like she was being stared at by a royal beast. Wake up so early, aren't you staying up all night? Tabin said in a low voice. Yes, what a coincidence, you too. So why don't you go straight into the house? Tu Lang Wei made a ghost face towards Tabin and said that he is truly my trash brother. I exercise every morning. Tabin immediately praised her for being amazing. I'm proud of you. The words of encouragement made Tu Lang Wei blush, becoming so angry that she waved her arms and legs, while Tabin returned to the room and lay on the bed, silently watching the system reward tasks. He asked the system, what is this Kim-O God demon body? The system replied, the Kim-O divine demon body is the secret physical combat technique of the Kim-O clan. Kim-O was born from a star as hot as the sun. As soon as he was born, he had the power of mountains and rivers. Through cultivation, he could be invincible and invulnerable. In ancient times, they conquered most of the universe. Wherever Venus went, everything turned to dust. Why do people call it a ghost? After Tabin finished reading the introduction, he was still a little tired when he heard that and jumped up. He was both happy and scared. He knew the reward system wouldn't be too bad, but he didn't expect it to be this good. His fingers quickly turned to the key to continue reading. The system currently warns that the process of cultivating the Kim-O spirit demon body will change the body. It also requires a lot of combat power and a lot of support materials. After completion, you will no longer be a human but become a Kim-O Kwan god and demon in the world. Suddenly Tabin began to hesitate. Will this body turn into a monster? This seems to be the image of a villain. Because Tabin completed his mission, he obtained the secret combat techniques of the Kim-O clan. But once he successfully cultivates, he will transform into a god and demon king in the world. Which way will he choose? Remembering what happened in the past, silently lamenting in my heart that no matter how far I go, being a weak person has no value at all. Perhaps not being a human can live more like a human. Tabin smiled, secretly thinking that maybe this is the true power of battle pet masters of ancient times, and is also the power that pet owners should have. Play according to your rules. Inside the mischievous animal store, black uniformed delivery staff were busy lining up the goods for him inside. Tabin nodded, accepted all the trunks that had been brought, showed them where to put the trunks, and then sent them all home. In this mission, Tabin achieved a lot of merit. These were all items he used in exchange for merit. He squatted down and raised his finger to identify himself. He couldn't help but applaud. The goods from the federal warehouse were also delivered to his home, which was very convenient. Very quickly, he took out a piece of armor from the chest. This armor was called Nguyen Tui Bao Jop. This is a strange and gentle set of defense treasures, shaped like a sphere. When worn, it will become transparent like water, depending on the wearer's energy to upgrade the defense and resist attacks. Physical attack below level 7. The training materials and most of the items are enough to cultivate the first level of the Kim-O divine demon body, and the results obtained are much higher than going to the cultivation area. Tabin smiled, secretly thinking that many of the materials and energy needed for the Kim-O then demon body could be supplemented from the reclaimed warehouse and chaos map, and after increasing strength, it could be explored. Add more dangerous places in the reclamation area and the chaos energy map achieves a perfect closed loop. Tabin suddenly looked at the ore collected from the space crack and didn't know what to do with it. Suddenly he had an idea and asked the system, does the foster home have to pay a fee to upgrade? The system answers correctly, upgrades and maintains the cage, all of which require the host to pay with energy points. Su Bin smiled and continued to say, so what if I use these ores to renovate the cage? If the materials are provided by me, will the cost be reduced? Suddenly the system unlocks new powers, paying 20% of the required energy is enough. Provided that enough specified materials are collected, from there it can be upgraded to level 2, bringing a significant increase in efficiency. The quality and combat power of the star pet, and the addition of recognition techniques, can be restored except for fatal wounds. The effectiveness of using the demon system can also be increased by 70%, if not then subtracted by 50%. Tabin was secretly startled, he didn't expect that it could actually be reformed. Even though the side effects were quite serious, such a strong effect was absolutely worth it. Looking at the list of materials, Tabin thought to himself that the remaining materials were easy to find at the reclamation base, but the energy point was not enough. Only worrying about cultivation, the store was about to close. In order to save the mischievous pet store that was about to close due to lack of money, Tabin this time wanted to rely on filming videos with beautiful women to make money. Somewhere in the city, Tien Din suddenly received a call from a mischievous pet store. She asked the boss suspiciously, what are you looking for me for? Tabin lowered the noise. His tone was cold as usual. Are you satisfied with the results of the lightning rat's cultivation? Talking about mice, Tien Din immediately responded excitedly. Extremely satisfied. So satisfied that he didn't know how to repay him. On the other end of the phone came Tabin's voice. I also need you to help me with something. Tien Din was secretly happy. A good opportunity to get closer has finally come. Boss, just say it. Whatever I can do within my ability, I will help you. Tabin casually stated his request, which was to invite her to film a short video with him. After hearing this, Tien Din stopped walking. Her cheeks were red like a fever. Images of a white girl and 5 black guys automatically appeared in her mind. She did not forget to ask what the filming was for. Tabin replied impatiently, Of course it was for fame. If she didn't come I would find someone else. Lowering her voice a bit, Yen Din's face turned red. She quickly covered the phone with her hand. Suddenly her face turned pink. She gasped and replied, I know. After a while, Yen Din also came. Today was a bit different because she wore a sexy purple dress, her whole body trembling as she walked to the store counter. She urgently greeted Tabin. Boss, I'm here. Tabin looked up and couldn't help but blush. He could only pretend to cough to hide. You're dressed so beautifully today. To Yen Din quietly whispered, didn't you say you wanted to record a video? Tabin thought to himself that it was right. Anyway, it wouldn't affect him. He raised his watch to look, with his mouth urging him to quickly call for lightning to try out. Hearing that, to Yen Din's mind became dark. Does that have anything to do with the thunder rat? Suddenly an extremely dangerous thought appeared in her mind, and on her lips she quickly refused. Should I let the mouse and I play on the roundabout? No way, absolutely? Tabin's face was full of question marks. Why can't you ask? I'm just asking you to summon Lightning Rat, releasing lightning and lightning. To Yen Din's mind immediately froze for 2 seconds. Did he just need to film this? Tabin lost patience and said, otherwise, what do you think you want to film? Only this mouse can prove the effectiveness of my cultivation. Don't say you didn't bring it with you. To Yen Din was so embarrassed that she wanted to explode. She quickly opened the summoning space. Thunderbolt also came out. To Yen Din suddenly suggested, even though the school's annual competition has ended, there will be a championship competition soon. I will fight with Champion Deepao. If you come on stage with me, it will have a very good advertising effect. Tabin agreed, but suddenly remembered and asked, is the champion Deepao? I thought the champion was you. To Yen Din smiled and said yes. His level 9 bloodline of the Silver Snake and Thunder Dragon Beast is too strong, but winning the Child Award has exceeded my expectations. I expected to be in the top 20 at the same time. Tabin understood Loi Kwangthu's strength very well. He smiled and thought to himself that his bloodline was level 9 stars. He didn't expect that there was someone in this academy who could defeat Loi Kwangthu. How interesting. Tabin originally just wanted to record videos to earn some energy to live, and to Yen Din wanted to invite him to the academy to participate in performance competitions, and by the way, he could also promote his pet shop to earn some money. The two of them then moved to Fuang Sun Academy. Loi Kwangthu seemed to be very popular in the academy, everywhere they went. Tabin couldn't help but ask, are thunder rats very popular at school? To Yen Din said proudly, that's because in the academy's annual competition, everyone saw Loi Kwangthu's potential, and even reached the finals. Now Loi Kwangthu is a pet star. That's right, Boss Tu, it's still early, should we distribute leaflets? Tabin thought for a moment and then refused. These ordinary students raising thunder rats were just following the trend, all wanting to play small and fight big. Even if it stops being popular in the future, it will still be beaten by the price of food and care, and we will develop wealthy customers. To Yen Din's aggrieved words are also correct. I still haven't paid off all my debt to NHAC. Suddenly there was a buzz from the side, only to see a blonde man surrounded by beautiful girls. This was champion player Deepao. Suddenly Deepao saw to Yen Din passing by. He quickly waved and said to his classmate Tu, I have something to see you. Tu Yen Din also looked at him with a suspicious look. Deepao continued to say that there was nothing wrong and wanted to thank her for the recent match, my Silver Snake and Dragon Beast, which crossed the limit to level 7. Tu Yen Din smiled. Congratulations. Tabin next to him secretly observed the man who could defeat this lightning test. Suddenly Deepao approached to Yen Din and said in a low voice, that's right. I suggest you don't try using lightning anymore. After the Silver Snake and Dragon Beast broke through to level 7, something changed. With dragon prestige on my body, I still haven't learned how to calm it down. You know, this is an acting competition, although your lightning test is very strong, but after all, you are a low-level bloodline, and have an innate fear of high-level bloodlines. Tu Yen Din's face was unsightly. The First Lady did not speak. Deepao continued to speak. So he suggested that she use Fuang to fight at that time. If so, it would at least seem interesting. Tu Yen Din replied uneasily. I know. Deep Hao pretended to wave his hand. See you on the field later. I will try to be gentle. Su Bin, who was listening to the song next to him, suddenly opened his mouth and said, fight however you like. It's just a level 9 pet beast. And it's not yet grown up. Even if it's a royal beast. Let's try Thunderlight. Not afraid either. Deep Hao's eyes suddenly fell on Tu Bin. He frowned and asked who this person was. Tu Yen Din was stunned for a moment. His eyes lit up. He quickly introduced himself and said that this was Master Tu who helped me train the lightning rat. It could be said that he was half the owner of the thunder rat. Speaking of which, perhaps Mr. Tu knows more about lightning than I do. Tu Yen Din gently elbowed Tu Bin and introduced him as Deep Hao, the champion of this class at the academy, who was willing to spend money to buy star pets. The second half of the sentence obviously refers to Tu Bin's involvement in fishing for Deep Hao in front of him, so it emphasizes Deep Hao as Rick Kid. When Tu Yen Din said that, Tu Bin immediately understood. He quickly clasped his hands to greet the blonde guy. Deep Hao was surprised to see that Tu Bin's face was not much different from his, and was even a few years younger than him. Such a young boss could create such an absurdly strong lightning bolt. He reasoned to himself that perhaps he had a training master behind him. In this short moment, many thoughts appeared in his mind, his face still calm and smiling as he said, if there is a chance, I hope Boss Tu can also help me raise some silver snakes and thunder dragons. My hobby, no matter how much money is worth, money to me is just an external thing. Boss Tu quickly said, the store is very busy right now, but if you're so sincere, I'll make an exception. If business comes to Tu Bin's door, he will naturally not refuse. It seems that this person is very rich. He suddenly opened his hand and said 500,000 is enough to give priority to raising your pet. Deep Hao heard Tu Bin say the number 500,000 just to get priority. Is this his secret whisper? Tu Bin has now become a scoundrel and a businessman. Mr. Deep loves a pet like a child and regrets 500,000, isn't that right? Tu Yen Din did not expect that Tu Bin would be openly robbed here and tried to hold back his laughter until he was shaking. Deep Hao's pride was touched and he replied that it was no problem, any amount was fine, if he was able to accept it. Tu Bin smiled, then the word was decided, see you again when competing. These rich people really spend money without blinking, this time it's in the right place. Soon after, it was time for the first-year performance competition. Tu Langwei was now standing on the field, facing the attack of Ho Suong's pet beast, his whole body rising to death. Seeing that, she smiled slightly, what a boy, he only knows how to take risks. Now raise your hand to increase the speed to level 2 for the illusory beast. Immediately give the command, and after the snowball increases growth effectiveness, a stream of green air will be released from your body and then gather force in your 4 limbs. The snowball quickly flew out in the blink of an eye, rushing in front of Ho Suong's body, defeating Ho Suong's attack with one kick. Suddenly it turned around, its eyes turned red, and it activated the dream release skill. First, he used magic to jam. The moment the opponent was hit by the magic, the snowball used the dark inflammation skill again. Flames blew out like the sea, and the entire stadium was ablaze with energy. Tu Langwei easily won this match. The MC commented that it was truly a beautiful match. Tu Yen Din kept clapping and praising her while Tu Bin, who was watching from the side, also nodded in agreement. Her skills were not bad, although there were still some shortcomings. The white-haired man in front of the judge smiled and said, if it were previous years, this fighting force would have been able to join the team, but this year there are too many outstanding players. The man wearing glasses next to him laughed. This year's champion and runner-up, one person controlled a rare dragon beast, had a level 9 bloodline. But the runner-up used a thunderbolt to try and rely on level 1 bloodline to get to the final match, which is truly worth watching. The assistant teacher smiled and stroked his beard happily as he continued, this little old lady, if she can be guided by a master, she can also become a future star in the future. When you meet such a noble person, you have to rely on your luck. Rick Kid Deep Hao was trapped by Tu Bin as a trick at this time, and now he is on the field to see if that 500,000 will finally return to Tu Bin's hands or not. The time has come, in everyone's expectations, the local MC Tu Yen Din and Deep Hao in the auditorium sparked a heated discussion. Tu Yen Din followed the small path. Tu Bin followed. Tu Yen Din is on the field and is also ready. Feeling the turbulent atmosphere at the scene, she took a deep breath and raised her hand to summon the judge. And Deep Hao also summoned the Silver Snake and Lightning Dragon Beast. The giant body almost takes up more than half of the dragon competition field at the same level. This strategy is obviously number 1 or number 2, clearly different from other animals. Under the stage, Tu Langwei saw that following the runner-up this time was his brother. His face was a bit surprised. After that, his useless brother came out again. Kid, remember me? Looking at Tu Bin's familiar smile. Experiencing 3 days in the training area, never wanted to make the lightning test, extremely scared. Thinking of that, she immediately ran over and hid next to Tu Yen Din's feet. Her calves trembled, clearly showing her unconcealed fear of this man. Tu Langwei in the stands looked at this man angrily and thought to himself, he's not even a battle pet master. Isn't he afraid of being humiliated when he goes up there? The surrounding audience saw the frightened Thunder Rat and couldn't help but debate. Why did he stop himself and become so scared? Are he afraid of dragon power? When Deep Hao saw Tu Yen Din summoning lightning, his eyes were a bit cold and he said, do as I say or else you'll just be a laughingstock. I kindly reminded him but still didn't appreciate it. Tu Yen Din took a deep breath. At this moment, she did not rely on the lightning to test. She directly opened the space summoning and chose to use Lac Fuang to deal with it. She directly ordered Lac Fuang to use it. Radiologist. Tu Yen Din immediately let Lac Fuang use his strongest move to avoid having the opportunity to use it in the future. The phoenix's entire body increased the temperature of the arena like a flame. Play it. The silver snake beast's heart suddenly let out a dragon roar. The effect was extremely powerful. The dragon's roar was filled with obvious majesty and vibrations. In everyone's eardrums, Lac Fuang was surrounded in midair by a dragon's roar, and the ultraviolet rays created by the radiation beam were also quickly destroyed. Seeing Lac Fuang's skills being defeated, Tu Yen Din was a little scared and his face was ugly. Feeling the master's anger combined with the recent failure, in Lac Fuang's crimson eyes, a fire of anger flared up, and from Lac Fuang's mouth, the gathering force once again emitted aurora rays. But Deep Hao saw that and smiled faintly, not giving up yet. This time he will show you the difference between us. The Silver Snake Thunder Dragon Beast entered the city to defend. This time the Silver Snake Thunder Dragon Beast did not use the dragon roar but used its 2 wings to cover its eyes like a shield, only to see bright money carrying high temperature quickly spit out from Lac Fuang's mouth, directly hitting the wing of the Silver Snake and Thunder Dragon Beast, making an explosive sound. The smoke had just dissipated enough to see a scratch on the beaten wing, but in the blink of an eye it was restored to its original state. Tu Yen Din was stunned. What she had just seen was too big a blow to her. Lac Fuang's strongest pet skill was only so effective. If so, Deep Hao stood still and let her hit him, but he couldn't even beat her. This is clearly not on the same level. The entire hall was buzzing. A level 8 skill could only cause a scratch, no different from scratching the itch of the Silver Snake and Lightning Dragon. In fact, many people can easily recognize that even though it is a level 8 pet skill, it is still inferior to the Silver Snake and Lightning Dragon Beast passed down by the level 5 Lac Fuang. Deep Hao saw Tu Yen Din's stupid look and smiled. Be gentle, Dragon Beast. Let her know what a festival is. Immediately practice 3 skills at once. These 3 skills are in order of the fire element. The attack power of the ice element and the wind element are both extremely great. Although he did not intentionally aim at them, but because the range was too wide, there were dangers everywhere around Lac Fuang, and his power even devastated the arena below, as if he had gone through an extremely fierce battle. Because the skill range is too large, Lac Fuang flies up in midair and has a hard time avoiding it. Tu Yen Din, who was preparing to increase Lac Fuang's speed, suddenly had to stop due to the fire falling on her. In this case, she could only choose to protect herself. She was completely overwhelmed. The more she tried, the more hurt. But Lac Fuang couldn't avoid it in time. With just one mistake, he was hit. Lac Fuang's wings were immediately burned, and his injured body fell onto the field. At this moment, Yen Din's heart was filled with anger and despair. This silver snake and thunder dragon beast was probably 4 points stronger than the previous encounter, and there was absolutely no way to get rid of it. Deep Hao lamented that it was really boring, only training star pets at this level and daring to charge such a high fee. At this moment, Su Bin felt like he had lost all dignity, so he directly used his hand to increase his killing intent to test Thunderlight. His entire body was enveloped in murderous intent. Suddenly his entire fighting power soared. His body was also somewhat handsome. His whole body was filled with murderous intent. And Bin directly pouted and said to kill him for me. It seemed like he didn't take the silver snake thunder dragon beast into consideration. Having finished speaking, the lightning test proactively attacked. Its limbs surrounded the electric light. Its body suddenly launched at rocket speed, leaving a long string of electric light afterimages along the way. This is the high-level pet skill Thunderflame. In the blink of an eye, he was close to the silver snake thunder dragon beast. He immediately jumped up and used the destructive power of the vulture pan to aim straight at the ancient silver snake thunder dragon beast. The preemptive move was extremely formidable, and Deep Hao also noticed the performance of the lightning test. He was a bit surprised. The speed was faster than the final match. This move temporarily created several deep dents, and even tore the dragon beast's chest armor. The resentment of the Von Luke Kai Pan can weaken the strong recovery ability of the Dragon Clan's bloodline. Deep Hao's gentle eyes radiated meaning, so winning would be interesting. He raised his hand to perform level 4 strength enhancement. Han's thoughts passed to the silver snake thunder dragon beast, ordering him to stomp on the Thunderlight to death. And the silver snake thunder dragon beast once again appeared to ice the sea of Landong, starting from its feet spreading to the ice of its shoes, quickly freezing the entire field. For star pets that cannot fly, this is a fatal move. Lightning looked at the sea of ice and immediately jumped back to avoid the ice that was getting closer and closer, all the way to the edge of the field. At this time, Bin calmly opened his mouth to command, using the third move I taught you. The weak point is in the mouth. After receiving the order, Thunderlight suddenly unleashed a field of lightning in 10 directions, shattering the cold ice in front. Continue to use the next move, with multiple lightning strikes. From within the blue smoke, 3 thunderbolts ran forward at the same time, divided into 3 different directions. All 3 thunderclouds continuously launched small versions of the 10 directions thunderfield. Want to use the lightning of this move to open the way forward, and at the same time quickly approach the silver snake and lightning dragon beast. Look at the reaction of the thunder rat. Deep Hao frowned. In these 3 photos, there is definitely one. Although it's not certain, there is a rat over there protected by a thunder armor. Don't try to fool me. Attacking it, the silver snake lightning dragon beast followed orders and launched a move at that figure, using the sea ice skill to guard the throne, instantly locking the lightning dragon's body. Their entire body that was hit immediately disappeared before their eyes. As a remnant, Deep Hao was shocked. He panicked, thinking it was fake, so he ordered another attack, but it also disappeared immediately. Bin Yin smiled slowly. All 3 of those were to attract your attention. At that moment, the true god of lightning appeared, and the position of appearance was just the face of the silver snake and thunder dragon beast. Before waiting for it to react, the darkness pan erupted from the claws of the lightning bolt. Deep Hao is no longer calm now, but he has a 4th child? Before he could react, the lightning flashed past the corner of the silver snake and thunder dragon beast's mouth because the corner of the mouth was the only place not protected by scales. It immediately let out an extremely pitiful cry. The dark energy accompanying the lightning pan continuously corroded the wound of the silver snake and thunder dragon beast. The spectators watching the match were equally surprised. They all showed faces of disbelief and applauded the explosive energy of the lightning rat. Deep Hao's face stiffened, just before he was sure of victory, but in the blink of an eye, the dragon snake suffered such a huge blow. The difference between Thunderlight's fighting style before and after was too big. The pet skills he used were still the same as before, but his style of action had completely changed. Could it be because of this man? If I lose here now, wouldn't I be the champion by luck? He clenched his fist, determined to turn the game around. He shouted loudly. The silver snake and thunder dragon beast directly aimed at the battle pet master behind him and attacked. Deep Hao's favorite beast let out a sound like pain. A blazing fire appeared from its mouth. It flew up in the air. The fire from its mouth convulsed and turned into a fireball, trying to take advantage of the sea of ice that was shining just now. They were roasted into tree meat. Bin frowned. His tactics were unsightly. In fact, he had already done it with mercy. Otherwise he would not have had a way to defeat his opponent. The thunder lightning dragon beast next to it saw danger and immediately rushed forward. Without waiting for the silver snake and thunder dragon beast to react, it appeared right at the wound on the corner of its mouth that it had just created. The lightning that accumulated around its body was immediately cast into lightning, and the purple lightning energy directly attacked the wound of the silver snake and thunder dragon beast. The silver snake thunder dragon beast was injured, and now it was electrocuted to the point of numbness. The shock of its body continued, and its huge body quickly fell to the ground. An explosion echoed throughout. The whole area seemed to have just experienced an earthquake. Everyone was stunned, unable to adapt to this situation for a while. It was completely beyond their imagination. What is this? You must know that this dragon beast has reached level 7 in the student scale competition. It was already the highest level pet, basically invincible, but now it had been defeated miserably, and thoroughly defeating it would still be a test of thunder and lightning that probably wouldn't be as good as the dust in its eyes. On the competition field, Deep Hao now had a frustrated look on his face. His mind was blank. This sudden commotion made him caught off guard. The silver snake and thunder dragon beast lost too quickly. Tu Yen-din on the other side was the same. Things happened too fast. She didn't fully understand what had just happened, and didn't have time to grasp her victory. Bin, still frozen, slowly said, "Are you satisfied with my abilities now? Can I ask if you paid the 500,000 in cash or by bank transfer?" Deep Hao looked incredulous and said, "I will transfer the money to you. I want to ask you, can my silver snake and lightning dragon beast become as strong as the lightning rat?" The sound of ice breaking suddenly rang out, only to see Bin step forward. A block of ice on his body had shattered. His body was not damaged at all. He smiled and replied that of course he could, but when it was his turn, it depended on my mood. At this time, on the judge's chair, the purple-haired man propped his chin up and looked at the situation to analyze the situation. The boy on stage accompanying that girl, his strength was not simple. The fire engine squinted his eyes and said he had already noticed that he was the one leading the battle behind him. Even the ice couldn't hold him back. The purple-haired man enthusiastically asked, "Assistant Teacher Dong, such a young and talented young man. Which class is this classmate?" Dong Min Tung is also a foggy person at this moment. He is quite discreet. You should tell yourself. Let's go ask after the match. He frowned and thought, why was he not impressed at all by this person? Such an excellent student, yet his instructor did not find out. It's irresponsible. That teacher's year-end bonus should be deducted and punished severely. Under Bin's command, the lightning man tried to unleash his true strength, easily defeating the silver snake and lightning dragon beast. As soon as the battle ended, he was invited by the academy leader to be an honored guest in the entertainment calendar, saying that he had some big people want to meet them. Tu Yen-din's heart was both excited and nervous, while Bin seemed to return to his own home, pouring tea and drinking it himself, very at ease. There was a noise, the office door was pushed open, and besides the deputy, there was also an old man called Senior. Under the guidance of the two people entering, the old man smiled and said that the match was so good, feeling like he was young again. The pressure into Yen-din's heart suddenly increased. Their momentum was like a huge mountain overwhelming her. Dong Min Tung coughed lightly. Next they would discuss work. "Classmate, who is your instructor? Tell me, I will arrange a first-class dormitory room for you." But Kok Tuyat on the side covered his mouth and smiled, reminding Deputy Professor Dong if he didn't know. "Must be our students." Bin suddenly remembered, he didn't expect to meet someone he knew here. Dong Min Tung's eyes suddenly lit up. "Are you interested in coming to our academy to practice? Free tuition, safe housing, independent dormitory, and when you graduate, The academy will also give you a high-class bloodline star pet. Are these conditions too good? Tu Yen-din silently sighed in her heart. Hearing that, the captain of the vanguard team couldn't help but silently scold the old fox. Tu Bin calmly took a sip of tea, then coldly said he was not interested. Dong Min Tung was a little surprised. The benefits and welfare were so good. He couldn't help but say, then I'll give you an extra allowance every month, Lak Kok Tuyat said, smiling next to him and introducing. Boss Tu is my benefactor. The last time I was able to return from the wilderness, it was thanks to Boss to helping me. The time I went to the wilderness and encountered an accident, the demon marrow beast's strength was level 9. Was killed by the young man in front of him. At first, Deputy Dong nodded and said he remembered that story, but as soon as he finished his sentence, he realized something was wrong. What? What are you guys looking at me for? Do you all want some tea too? Everyone couldn't help but feel awkward. Everyone had an SOS look on their face. No matter how they looked, it showed the lack of a rich homeowner. Whose child comes to experience life? You've never met someone from a big family. Could it be that you're a child of the deep family? Tu Bin directly replied, don't arbitrarily change your name to someone else. My last name is Tu. Tu Yen-din next to him was suddenly frightened by Tu Bin's attitude, panicking and wanting to cover his mouth. Suddenly the captain of the Iron Team opened his mouth and said, stop being a student, join our team. Arrange for you to join the first team, double treatment and benefits. Tu Yen-din next to him blinked blankly. The team he joined had no benefits and was only assigned to Team 4, as a temporary vanguard. Tu Bin naturally said while enjoying the tea, I'm completely uninterested. Joining the battle team is better than reading a lot of books. The other team leader also spoke up, just join and you will be given 100,000 wild waterfall points. As for Venerable, he wanted to personally impart a set of martial arts and give him a set of battle armor that he made himself. Tu Bin helplessly looked at Tu Yen-din with yellow eyes and said, it's not for you. Why bother asking? I still have to practice and take care of the store. Where would I have time to go to the wilderness? Seeing this, Lak Kok Tuyat quickly opened her mouth and asked, Mr. Tu, have you thought about becoming a special instructor at the academy? Tu Bin asked again, is the instructor? Last time he thought Lak Kok Tuyat wanted to recruit him as a student? Tu Yen-din next to him was secretly startled. Teacher can all be level 7, or above to be qualified to take the position. They still have to pass many tests to get that position. A teacher can decide accordingly. The future of hundreds of students, the dreams of many people, you just need to answer. Lak Kok Tuyat continued to say, that's right. Every week you only need to open one class. You can arrange the time yourself. The compensation is not mentioned. The resources in the school can be used however you want. Tu Bin's mind moved slightly. The power allowed him to use the stellar magnetic field. Cultivating the golden crow god demon body requires a lot of rare materials. If you can get some of it, it will save a lot of effort. Moreover, as an instructor, you don't have to worry about some jerks coming. Looking for trouble, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After analyzing, he immediately nodded in agreement. But how could he have imagined that there were so many other things waiting for him? Looking at the books in front of her, she was shocked. Lak Kok Tuyat explained that this is a test that must be passed to become an instructor. As long as the written test has an average of 60 points, it will not be difficult. Tu Bin suddenly retreated. I thought it was better to leave. Dong Min Tung saw this and immediately held Tu Bin tightly. That was the standard for outsiders. Mr. Tu could hunt and kill demonic beasts in the Hoangvu area. There was no doubt about his fighting skills. As for his teachings, teaching or being a teaching assistant to audit a few classes is enough. Tu Bin asked suspiciously, so what do you mean? Dong Min Tung haha laughed. We just need to pass the physical test. We need to collect information from each teacher. That way it will be easier to arrange students. Suitable teacher for you to teach. Tu Bin thought deeply in his heart. Clearly he wanted to test my skills. This old fox. What if his qualifications weren't enough to deduct benefits? He wants to hear what this is all about. Tell me, how to check, please follow me. Tu Bin and everyone went to the advanced testing yard. Dong Min Tung pointed to the huge body of the machine and said, If you can only stand against this white track alone for 1 minute, you are qualified. As he finished speaking, he pointed. I saw my 2 white eyes radiating red light and it was successfully started. Tabin asked further, can't use star pets, right? Dong Min Tung smiled and nodded. Lak Kok Tuyat, who was next to her, secretly thought, this is a high-class combat weapon. Even I can only hold it for 30 seconds. Is this assistant Dong trying to preempt Tabin? Tabin smiled and started to get into position. He also wanted to check the results of his training and get started. As soon as Bok Track activated, the top of his head instantly began to shoot out in 4 directions, but Tabin could only keep moving to avoid the move. Suddenly, a flash of lightning appeared that could not be avoided. He quickly opened his star shield to defend. The energy ball above the white man's head began to increase in power, causing lightning to attack frantically. Tabin felt the heavy feeling on the star shield constantly shifting. He also realized that this shield could not stand it, and in an instant it was shattered. The energy from the collision sent him flying dozens of meters away, but Dong Min Tung observed from the outside and did not shoot them in the first 10 seconds. His reflexes were good, but this star shield was too weak. Just as Tabin returned to a stable defensive posture, he suddenly discovered a huge magic circle appearing under his feet, and he couldn't help but be distracted. In the magic formation, a huge wind suddenly blew out, instantly blowing him halfway up. Just as his body was floating, many small pieces of ice appeared around him. He thought to himself that something was wrong. He was floating and couldn't use his strength to dodge. In the blink of an eye, dense ice cones hit him at the same time. If he couldn't defend, he could only rely on his body to resist. Dong Min Tung felt disappointed when he saw this. It had ended in less than 20 seconds. After all, it was the first time he fought with Bok Track. We will continue to think about it later. Tabin was hit by the cold move just now. Bok Track continued to use it, this time radiating green energy. Several vines fell towards Tabin's position, straight up to wrap tightly around his limbs, but that was not enough. Is the end. Tabin looked at the vines wrapped tightly around his body and was also a bit surprised. In the blink of an eye, he was blinded, and Bok Track slowly opened his mouth, frantically condensing energy from within. Lak Kok Toyat's heart was tense. She couldn't help but cry out in alarm. As soon as he finished speaking, a stream of flame energy shot straight at Tabin. He was engulfed in the sea of fire cast by Bok Track while still being blinded, not moving at all. Lak Kok Tuyat quickly turned around and said to quickly stop the test, but Dong Min Tung didn't think that was right. There was no cry for help, which meant he hadn't given up yet. He thought proudly that Bok Track's attack would go from level 1 to level 6, in only about 5 seconds. Even though it would stop at the deadly limit, he would still have to endure a lot of suffering. While Tabin was in the blazing fire, he had already put on his original armor to defend, but could only avoid injury, but now had no way to escape his bonds. He could only fight back hard. At this time, Lak Kok Tuyat was counting down. 5 seconds had come. Bok Track still hadn't stopped attacking. She quickly asked the question, it's been 10 seconds, why hasn't it stopped yet? This fiery storm must have reached level 8. Lak Kok Tuyat looked at Tabin being burned by the fire, confused and wondered why he didn't react. Had he lost consciousness? Suddenly, Tabin opened his eyes wide. Golden light emitted from his eye sockets. Blue veins on his face emerged, and then golden energy flowed throughout his whole body. This golden light was so intense, vines wrapped around his body. In the blink of an eye, it cracked all at once. The ground cracked open when he landed. Fiery flames were instantly shot out from all 4 sides, making it impossible to get close to him. He slowly raised his right hand, not forgetting to mumble, "What a hateful machine." Suddenly he rushed towards Bok Track. The ground could not withstand such great force. He turned into a yellow beam that cut through the air. Suddenly there was a fierce bang, only to see him punch with a golden light, hitting the Bok Track machine directly. In the blink of an eye its face was broken. Tabin opened his golden demon body, and with just one punch, he destroyed the white track. The 2 people who were watching the fight were startled. Not only could they block the attack but they could also fight back. This was also the first time they had seen it. Dong Min Tung watched Bok Trak being beaten into scrap metal on the field. Before, facing Bok Trak, everyone had to stand still and take the beating. Could it be that the machine was broken? At this moment, Tabin's body began to dissipate golden light. In his heart, he thought, what is that feeling? The system replied, the level 1 Golden Crow Divine Demon body is also unstable. Normally, it can only increase its physical strength a little, and only appears in special cases to activate a ray of Golden Crow's power. Tabin looked at the remaining golden light in his hand. Wasn't it complete? Is this just a little bit? This power is too perverted, just